Sorry to interrupt your convo.
Sorry,
if that's all right. I'm going to start recording now, so bear with me. Okay then, so good morning all. My name is Holly. I'm an engagement officer for the Communities for Work Plus project, and I'd like to welcome you all today to our last sector-specific question and answer session before Christmas with Apollo Teaching Services and Prospero Teaching. So thank you all for joining us. Please could everybody start by muting their microphones and turning their cameras off if you haven't already. And I'd also like to inform you again that this event is being recorded so that we can share the information with anybody who could not join us today. When our speakers are finished with their presentation, you can ask them questions either by unmuting your microphone and turning your camera back on, or by typing through the chat box facility. Please don't feel there are any stupid questions. The more questions asked, the better. I usually give an overview of the project, but today I'm going to do things a little bit differently, as both agencies joining us today have a 30-minute slot to talk to you and answer any questions you may have. So I'm going to hand it over to our first guest speaker, Tristan Davis, Branch Manager from Apollo Teaching Services, Swansea. Tristan, are you ready?
Yes, always ready.
Yes, thank you.
So just crack on, is it?
Yeah, it's over to you now.
Yeah, look, my obviously morning for people who don't know. Obviously, I was had a chat with Clive, but basically we're Apollo Teaching Services. We're a teaching agency who've been down in Swansea, Neath Port Talbot, well, the whole of South Wales really for the last 15-20 years. We've been in Swansea for 10, but truth be told, so Neath Port Talbot is probably one of our busiest areas, even though we're based in Forest Park. We already do quite a lot with sort of communities for work and sort of organisations like that down in the Swansea area, and we do get a lot of good candidates. A lot of people, like when I sort of do this type of thing, like a lot of places don't realise that they always think, oh, you have to be qualified, you have to be a qualified teacher, a qualified TA, which isn't the case with agency work, right? So we are looking for qualified teachers, both primary and secondary. We're also looking for qualified teaching assistants, but like I said, you don't have to have like a cash level 3 or anything to actually work agency, okay? Which I'll go through a little bit later. Look, my presentation is not going to be a big long speech. It'll be short and sharp because it isn't rocket science. There's certain things that we need, certain criteria that need to be met. But ultimately, it'll be more sort of questions from you guys if it isn't anything that I have covered. If there's something that I haven't covered, okay. So ultimately, we do look, like I said, teachers, both primary and comprehensive, teaching assistants, both primary and comprehensive, and there's also like a middle ground called like a cover supervisor, where you can go into a comprehensive school, cover classes, don't deliver the subject, but basically sort of crowd control really, but that's a bit of a tougher gig, truth be told, for somebody without any qualifications whatsoever. So to do that role, you'd have to have a little bit of experience in the field. So the requirements, the bog standard requirements to sign up with the agency, you'll have to have a DBS check. To work in schools, there's been a bit of confusion last sort of year or so. It used to be you could accept a child and adult DBS, but in the last year they brought in that to work in schools now, you have to only have a child workforce, or child only. If it's child and adult, you can't work in a school. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is what it is. So if ever you're going to do DBS checks for anybody, for us or for anything, to work in schools, just always make sure it's just child workforce, not child and adult. If you guys have got the contacts or the ways and wherefores to do them yourself, that's great. We can sort of, and we have done them for organisations like yourselves. They do cost £52, but obviously that's entirely up to you guys how you want to do it if you have got suitable candidates. Also, then that would have to be registered with the update service. Obviously, forgive me if all this is obvious to you guys, but obviously, I'll just go over it anyway. It has to be registered with the update service. That is a separate thing, which it's a government thing basically. So you need to that'll cost the candidate an extra £13, and it's basically like a subscription fee that will cover them for the year. And then in a year's time, they don't have to do a new one as long as they pay the £13 again. They just keep that DBS active for as long as they keep paying their £13 a year. So that's the number one. The second thing anybody's going to need to work in a school in Wales is they'd have to register with the Education Workforce Council. Again, that's not for a TA, it's not extortionate, so it's only £15 a year. For a teacher, then I think it's either 45 or 50. I think it's £45 a year. Okay, so it's not extortionate, but again, without that, you can't work. You can't work in a school and be paid for it. You can do voluntary but not be paid. Again, there's link. We can send links, and paperwork to be able to register with these guys. It's not a mission. So ID wise, we need passport, ideally passport, driving license, a birth certificate. If it doesn't matter if all those three aren't there, you can have maybe one passport, a driving license, and then maybe a proof of address like a utility bill, bank statement, council tax, credit card statement, something like that. We need a qualification certificate of some sort. It doesn't have to be the degree. Usually the most recent sort of qualification certificate is what's required. And then an up-to-date CV. It has to go back to the age of 18. So basically back to school really, without any gaps. If there are any gaps, the CV needs to explain why, whether it's take a break to look after children, or just a career break, or just out of work or whatever. But as long as the gaps are covered, that's fine. If the candidate doesn't sort of possess the relevant qualifications, or as in if you want to be a TA, usually so the minimum standard would be have your own children really, but it would help if you had some sort of experience in a school, or even not in a school. It could be like in charge of a girl guides group, coaching football after school, coaching netball, taking, as long as you've been in charge of some sort of children's group, then that would be sort of sufficient. If there's nothing at all, then we can sort of sign people up to the health and safety courses, and which literally can be done online and done very quickly to enable people to be able to get work really and pass the sort of criteria check really. So there's always a way that we can help out. We also, if somebody does want to maybe get into the cover supervising side of things, then we do run cover supervisor courses. In fairness, obviously it's been a bit difficult with the sort of COVID, but we always run safeguarding courses, cover supervising courses, health and safety courses, any bloody course to be honest, excuse the French. So there's options there for people, and they're always free of charge, so they won't cost anybody anything. They may have to travel obviously to whatever site it's on, but they will be free of charge. As in what people will, as in rates of pay then, which is obviously the most important really for people, because they want to know what they're going to get paid. Things have changed drastically in the last year or so for qualified teachers anyway. It used to be a year and a half ago, a daily rate for a teacher was like anything between 85 to £100 a day. £100 would be pushing it massively, to be perfectly honest. But now the bog standard rate for a teacher is £138.56 per day, which is a huge jump. Okay, so that obviously that's great, but then it does drop obviously then for a teaching assistant and a cover supervisor. A cover supervisor is sort of middle between both really. It's between sort of 75 and £90 a day for a cover supervisor, and then TA then would start £58.56, with a view of potentially having a little bit more but it'll never be less than 58, 56. It's sort of depending on the level that they are sort of required to go in at, really. We, like I said, we cover a massive range of schools in Neath Port Talbot, up the Swansea Valley, sort of the border of Powys. We don't go, I'll be honest, we don't go much further than sort of Ystrad area. We do a lot in the primary schools around there, and Mice are there when. Obviously Swansea is very busy with us. And then with people who, because we do get a lot of through this type of thing, a lot of the guys don't own cars, or they do own cars, but they maybe they can't afford to run them or whatever. So we do try to accommodate people, basically non-drivers, as much as we possibly can. So a lot of people think that this job is about getting up at 7, waiting for the call, which it is sometimes, but in busy times, which it is now, then most people will know where they're going in advance. So you could know on a Friday where pretty much you could go for the whole of next week, which gives people without transport or their own transport an opportunity to to be able to make their way, not be under pressure at sort of 8 o'clock in the morning, to get somewhere on a bus or something, So and then likewise, if it does happen where people get sort of a late call, like nobody's going to expect miracles either. It's all about it's all about communication, really. If a school knows that somebody's going to be a little bit late, then that's usually fine, So we try to make it work for for as many people as we can, really, and make life as easy as possible. We do have, I know this is just for this particular area, but we have got obviously other offices. We've got our Bridgend office, which is our main office. We've got Cardiff, Pontypridd, Cwmbran, and obviously ourselves. So amongst us all, we pretty much got the sort of South Wales area covered. And that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. It's not, there's not much sort of more to it. Hall, I don't know, I'm open to as many questions as you can. I hope this covered the most of it. Oh, plus also, I should have said, we have, I know COVID has hit everybody sort of hard and in different ways, but, take COVID out of it, and obviously before it came, we used to do a lot of, we'd go to sites to sign people up, get into us, maybe a mission for, especially somebody who doesn't drive, maybe, or somebody maybe got to come from Talbot or Neath, to Forest Far, for example. So we're always more than willing to go to, whether it's a job centre or wherever really suits the candidate, to be able to maybe do the registration. However, since COVID's come in, we have also brought in a new way of doing it as well, where we pretty much email everything to somebody now. All the paperwork is editable, so it's all, you can do it on a laptop or an iPad or whatever, and then scan things back to us. The only time the person will have to come into the office then at that point, or us, like I said, if we have to go to them, is just to verify the documents. Sort of prove they are who they say they are, by showing us the passports, etc. So ultimately we can accommodate anybody within reason, and obviously we would do our best to help somebody get activated as quick as we possibly could as well. So I think that's pretty much it from my end.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Tristan.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up to questions. If anybody has any, well, please feel free to ask via the chat option or just by unmuting yourself and asking via audio. Have a look. Okay, so do you pay mileage?
We used to, because the government were allowing us to, well, not us, but allowing staff to basically claim mileage through expenses, but that got pulled basically about 2 years ago, because basically what we were doing, that we were having to use sort of umbrella companies, which was fine because the staff were able to claim expenses, but these companies were also charging the staff members to use them. So it wasn't really become beneficial for anybody really at that time, because unless somebody was a teacher and was claiming a phenomenal amount of mileage, it wasn't really worth your while doing it, because you were paying them more in fees than you were actually claiming. So then we decided to, because there was a clamour for it at the time, because it was big, because people were claiming for food, they were claiming everything. But then, like I said, the government sort of put a kibosh on it, or definitely sort of policed it sort of more stringently. So we then decided to bring our payroll back in-house. So everything is PAYE. So what we, the guys get paid monthly as well. Sorry, I didn't go over the, they do get paid monthly. And our working month goes from the 19th of one month to the 18th of the next to get paid on the end of that month. So it's a full month, but it gives our payroll department sort of 10 days or whatever to make sure there's no mistakes. On the point of sort of mileage, we wouldn't, like most of our ethos is, local staff to local school, right? So, most people wouldn't have to travel more than sort of 5 miles to a job anyway. However, if for example, I ask somebody, oh look, can you come from, I don't know, can you go from Neath to, I don't know, Sugar Nice? It's a bit of a trek, like, so, it's sort of 25 minutes and then, so we would then say, oh look, obviously we can maybe add you travelling at a £5 or whatever, whatever it may be to your rate to cover that travel. But officially there is no sort of mileage, but it's there to negotiate if need be.
Fantastic. Okay, we've got some more questions. Is your own transport essential?
No, it's not. Like I sort of said, obviously it makes life easier, and I'm not. Obviously it makes life easier in the mornings if you have your own car, because you can basically just jump in and off you go. But if you do, if you are relying on public transport, then we do try our best to sort of pre-plan the work more for for people in that situation. So like I said, at busy time, which it is now, like a lot of people would know where they're going on a Friday for pretty much the whole of the following week. So anybody with public transport can sort of plan their routes accordingly. The only time it does get difficult for people who rely on buses or etc. is if they don't have anything booked in. Then that morning call, unless it's going to be very close to them, it can make life difficult, to find those guys work then, because ultimately school does need somebody, close to 8:30, 9 o'clock latest as possible. So, it doesn't stop people working. It does, I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't make it a little bit more difficult for people if they haven't got their own car. However, we do try to accommodate, i.e. give them plenty of notice, or we try to give the guys without the cars the priority then of the pre-booked stuff, then, put it that way.
Okay, lovely. And do you only do supply, or do you do longer placements for teachers?
Yeah, no, look, long-term supply is obviously big as well. But we tend to have schools will phone and ask, can I have CVs for a maths teacher or whatever it may be. We obviously send them off, and then if they come back they want, then great. But a lot of, like, especially primaries, what a lot happens is you'll have a teacher in or TA or whatever, and it'll start off with maybe covering like a 2-3 month week sickness or whatever, or less than that, and then the papers will roll in, and then it'll be, then that'll turn into 3 months, and then in the end the school will say, oh look, obviously we may as well sort of employ this person now because that person's not coming back. So there are long-term placements that do come in, but also we get a lot of short-term placements that turn into long-term placements due to long-term sick or maternity or whatever, because ultimately if the school has had somebody in for a few months, they then can't really be, well, can't be bothered is the wrong word, but it's better the devil you know sometimes. So if they've had somebody that they know and trust and know do a good job, then they tend to sort of prioritise that person for the long term, and they tend to stick with them then,
Okay, brilliant. And is there a probationary period for new staff to complete?
No, there's no probation. What the only time, well, it's not probation as such, is if if somebody had zero experience, and I mean like zero experience in a school, we can try to arrange, if possible, and if they want, you know, if the actual teacher TA wanted to do it, is maybe they need like a week or like 2 weeks sort of voluntary maybe in a school, which we would sort of, you know, keep an eye on as, and then get like a reference maybe or feedback from the school at the end of it to make sure that they are sort of you know, sort of suitable to carry on, and you know, but that would have to be on a voluntary basis. But like, you know, I want to stress that is, you know, that would be for somebody who literally had, you know, had sort of zilch experience and was literally, you know, going in totally blind but wanting to get into this sort of side of things. We could potentially help to arrange that, because ultimately, like, you know, we can't send somebody without any experience whatsoever, whether it's just, you know, not their own children or just never worked with children at all, into a school, because, like, number one, obviously it wouldn't be good practice, but number two, it wouldn't be really fair on them either, because, you know, they'd be sat in there. But with the you know, with the voluntary side of things, you know, there's not so much pressure. Both sides know what's going on. You know, they know what they're getting, and hopefully by the end of it, we'll have a suitable candidate to go forward, you know.
Do you cover junior schools in Ystrad, and are cover supervisors present in all schools now?
What, Ystrad Ganlais?
Yes.
As in Ystrad?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. We deal with Brotawi, Ysgol Golwg y Cwm, which is the two main ones. We do a little bit, well, actually, we do different Glouwr. We got a long-term TA in there, but we don't get much day-to-day, truth be told. And Ysgol y Crybbath, and we, it varies. We get, you know, bitty, but Golwg y Cwm is huge. You know, solely us, and we've got a hell of a lot of work in there. And Brotawi is, you know, it's not as big as Golwg y Cwm, but we do get work in Brotawi as well. And sorry, what was the second part of that question?
What are they called? Cover supervisors, available in all schools. Are they, you know, is that a popular thing asked for?
It's scary, yeah, because, well, if you think about it, like, it's a huge difference in the cost to a school to get a cover supervisor in you know, in comparison to a teacher, because so when they're looking at budgets, they think, you know, because a lot of times, you know, they get teachers in, like, you know, they'll ask for a geography teacher, but they'll have a general teacher, and they end up pretty much not delivering geography. They might deliver or just look after the class. So sometimes the school's thought process will be, oh, well, what's the point in that? Let's get a cover supervisor in for pretty much half the, well, not half the price, but, you know, not far off, and, you know, pretty much to do the same job. You know, obviously sometimes it doesn't, you know, obviously, you know, sometimes they do need like specialists, like, you know, sort of PE and stuff. You can't just have a cover supervisor for PE because for insurance and all the rest of it. But yeah, but to answer the question, cover supervisors is a big thing, purely and simple, because of this huge price rise in teachers. The school is thinking, you know, let's save some money here and get cover supervisors in. And truth be told, we haven't got many. If you can get us cover supervisors, we'd be very grateful. Hello?
Oh, sorry. I was talking with the mute on. So would you be a reference for somebody should they have found a permanent role, or would it be the school that would have to provide the reference?
As an agency, we can't give references because, as in, you know, references as in, you know, we can't comment on their work in the class or anything like that. As an agency, we can only comment on or give dates of employment, as in when they started till when, and if there are any safeguarding issues. They would have to gain an actual more detailed reference from whichever school they'd worked in.
Okay, and if somebody wanted feedback from the schools, and asked you, would you be able to provide all of the feedback you've received from the schools that they've worked in then to pass on?
So say somebody did like a bit of voluntary work, would we be able to pass it back to the staff?
Yeah. Or even if they did do supply work, paid work.
Yeah.
And you had feedback from the school that they were doing well, would you be able to pass that on to the employee then?
Oh yeah, no. Look, that's a big part of this, like that, is because ultimately we don't, not everybody works out to start off with, and like some people just, some people just need a bit of help, like, you know what I mean, as in,
Bit
because
of reassurance, or
not everybody's going to be perfect, do they? Like, nobody starts a job and absolutely nails it, do they? It takes a bit of time, like, so. Look, schools are quick to give negative feedback to us, not harsh, but if somebody needs, and then we'll judge it whether we think that individual will take it in the way it's meant to be taken, or you just got to be, you got to sort of treat them all differently, really, like, because some people might just absolutely take criticism and it might shatter them. Others will take it as, right, okay, thank you very much, and move on, and and they take it on the chin. But yeah, we do pass any sort of comments, any worthwhile comments, and some are just harsh, and there's just no need to pass them on to anybody, just because it's upset them maybe. But any positive comments, they are passed on straight away. Yeah, of course.
Brilliant, that's good. Okay, and our last question, I think. What about NQT? Can you support a recent graduate with QTS status, so qualified teacher status?
What we can do is, I can ask this quite a bit, right? We can sign off their hours, as in, we can sign, at the end of the year, once they've done however many hours they need to do, if they've done, I don't know, 50 hours for Apollo or whatever, I can sign that off for them at the end of the year. I can check their calendar and I can make sure it's all officially done. So that's fine. Yeah, yes, I can. But what we can't do is we can't sort of act as like a mentor or anything. They'd have to do that themselves through the university or in school, or however they do it. I don't know enough about that, I'll be honest, on how they do it, but I do know that we can definitely sign their hours off, which go towards obviously getting their QTS.
Brilliant. Okay. 2 more questions. How can we apply to work with you? Is there a phone number or email address?
Yes, we've got, because Holly's got.
Yeah,
are you going to share everything with?
I'll pop that in the chat box now. I'll pop, what you sent over yesterday, I'll send that over as a document.
Brilliant. And but if anybody needs any obviously questions after this, you can give us a call on 01792 585855, or you can email me personally if you want, on Tristan, so Tristan at apolloteaching.com. Those are the 2 main contacts. Just like I said, if there's anything after this that you think, I'd be really interested, give me a call or email or whatever, and we can definitely get you up and running as quick as we can, or if there's anything, basically anything you want to know, just give me a quick call and we're here to help.
Brilliant. And also, if you have contacted me to sign up to this event, your details would have been passed on to triage and then passed on to a mentor who can support you, whether it be in our project or a different project that we work alongside. So your mentor will be able to help you with all things career related and pass your details on to Tristan should you wish to, or help you update your CV, get qualifications, experience, etc. Liaising with Tristan. So any help you need, we're here for you, basically. Sorry, there's another question. Is there much need for ALN TAs?
Massive, truth be told.
That's good news.
ALN special needs is probably out of TA work, probably 75% of it, truth be told. It's a huge area, for obvious reasons at the moment. It's massive. So if you, again, obviously if you've got experience in that, then amazing. again, though, you don't have to have experience in it. It's about working, being willing to work in that environment. It's not for everybody. But like I said, the amount of people I've sent to special needs schools or just in units or whatever who've never had experience in it, and then they come out of it and they're a bit apprehensive because they've never done it before. But then they come out at the end of the day saying, look, anyway, please send me back, because it's an eye opener and it's very rewarding. So yeah, look, there's loads of work in that sort of sector. So if anybody's interested, please give us a call, because we're crying out for TAs who want to work in that sort of sector. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, and your last question, sorry, Tristan, before you go. Right. So if somebody isn't a qualified teacher yet and they want to go into that route, do you know of the schools that offer the training, the on-the-job training? I can't remember what it's called now, but
it's called a GTP, which is a graduate training program.
Yes.
So no, to be perfectly honest, again, I get asked this quite a bit, because it is the ideal way of sort of qualifying, really, getting paid on the job. But ultimately, the main thing is there's no easy way around it. I think it's literally phoning whatever schools, as many schools as you can, as the person can, whatever subject they may want to get, maybe again, speaking to the head of departments of those schools, and finding out if there's a gap there, because ultimately for the school, they've got to find somebody who's willing to mentor that person for the whole year. And as you can imagine, it's literally probably, it's like asking like a head of P or whatever, who's already probably got their hands full, to then to then be a mentor to this person. I don't know if they get extra money for it. So it's quite a difficult thing to get on, because it's finding people who are willing to be the mentors, like, number one. But what you find is you'll have different subjects will have more spaces, so they prioritize, like the government or the Welsh Assembly or whatever will prioritize, like, I don't know, maybe like history is really low at the moment, for example. It's not, but I don't know. So you may have a lot of spots for history GTP graduate training programs, whereas like P, then you may have a glut of P teachers coming out of Trinity or whatever. So then finding those are really hard. So they'll sort of offer those more to the subjects where they're struggling, as in to find staff,
Okay, brilliant. Just sorry, one more thing. People who don't speak English as their first language, do you have much work for people like that, who could offer maybe support to other children in the school who also don't have English as their first language? Yeah,
that's a good question. We don't. Look, it's not obviously as common as like a normal day-to-day sort of supply would be, but we do get calls. It's not huge, but like, for example, when we do a lot with Mice there and Comprehensive up in Ystrad, and when obviously they had like a lot of sort of Syrian refugees came to live in the area. So obviously, the children need to go to school, so they were obviously going to Mice there, but for obvious reasons, there was no English being spoken, so they would phone and say, "Oh, look, we need TAs who are fluent in." I can't. Excuse me for my ignorance, but I can't remember what language it was. But it's that's an example of it happening. It doesn't happen all the time, I'll be honest, and it's not huge, but it does crop up.
Okay, fantastic. There we go. Does anybody have any more questions just before we end the first section with Tristan? I think that's it. So thank you very, very much, Tristan. That's been excellent. Very, very informative. No. Yeah, thanks, Holly, for organising, and thanks, Tristan. Really informative. So I think you'll get lots of calls after this. People interested. So
no, thanks for giving me the chance to have a chat. Be nice.
No problem. There we are. Well, yeah, once again, thank you very much. And myself and Emma will be in touch going forward then to work in partnership. So
That's cool.
There we are. Thanks again. You're more than welcome to stay, of course, but
no,
I'm sure you've got plenty more to do.
It's all right.
Plenty,
I don't listen to another agency talk over me exactly the same as I just told you.
Yeah. There we are. And lots of great feedback. Thank you. Thank you. Very good session. So
good and glad. And Clive, all the best, mate.
Take care. Just be touch with you soon, mate.
And you, yeah. Thanks, Holly, very much.
Cheers, Holly.
You're welcome. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Okay, so thank you everybody for listening. I hope you found it informative so far. I think it's been brilliant. So next up, we have Prospero teaching. We have Gemma. Are you with us, Gemma? We have Gemma Fernie, recruitment consultant from Prospero teaching with us next. I don't know if Gemma's with us yet.
Hi, yeah, I'm Gemma. You okay?
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Gemma.
I think there's a bit of a lag. That's okay. Yeah, so hi guys. I'll pop the presentation up for Prospero teaching, and pretty much the same as gathered what Tristan has said, and yeah, we kind of work with everyone within the secondary schools. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes, we can indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, brilliant. Just went a bit quiet. So yeah, hi guys, I'm Gemma. I work for Prospero Teaching. I've been working with them for the past 2 years on the education sector. Prior to that, I was working in the education department in Australia and New Zealand. So I've got some kind of background initially. So who are we as Prospero Teaching? We've got 20 years experience recruiting and training teachers of the highest standards within the education department. We've been working with the UK Department for Education for the past 20 years. We're a global company. We're in the UK, Dubai, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. And our offices in Cardiff cover all of Rhondda Taff, Cardiff, Powys, Swansea, Neath Port Talbot. And yeah, so we cover pretty much all of South Wales. We're APSCO accredited, which means we're members of the Association of Professional Staffing Companies. So we're dedicated to representing excellence within the recruitment industry. So we offer permanent contracts and supply teaching from day-to-day, long-term, permanent and short-term contracts. We also offer free CPD accredited training and training courses to all of our staff. This can be from team teach training, safeguarding, introduction to classroom management, introduction to attachment disorder, teaching phonetics. There's a lot of free training courses that we can offer any of the staff that are coming forward that can help them with their career prospects within the education sector. And what we do, so the schools that we currently work with, we provide them with lecturers, teachers, teaching assistants, cover supervisors and learning support assistants. We work with the primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, SEN schools and looked after children. Myself, Melissa and Lawrence, we currently deal with the area with Bridgend, Neath Port Talbot, which is a really busy area for ourselves, Swansea, Llanelli, Carmarthen and all the way going up to Haverfordwest. So yeah, we cover all of those areas. So the experience that we kind of look for candidates, and I think as Tristan had said, it's not just, you don't just need to have the education, qualification or background. A lot of our staff that are currently working with us have come from a care sector, health and social care background. They've worked as nurses, they've been in the armed forces, they've been with the police, worked with vulnerable children and adults, sport coaches, counselling, support and wellbeing, and even just support work and youth work, because those skills can transition into working with pupils all across the board. The qualifications initially that we do look at as well is degree qualifications, college, GCSE, social care or education. So you don't, as Tristan had mentioned previously, you don't need to have that education experience. There could be such a broad experience that you have that we can kind of utilise you. We also have a graduate scheme for cover supervisors and teaching assistants. So if a pupil has just come out, candidate has just come out of university and they're not sure if they want to go into teaching and they don't want to pay the tuition fee to going into a teaching qualification, we can offer them work as teaching assistant and cover work. This cover work is what was previously mentioned before, cover supervisor. So you're not doing any planning, prepping or marking. It's just lesson delivery and it's classroom management. And we also offer the online training for those two. And then what happens then, if they're happy to pursue a PGCE, we can complete a reference for their chosen university, and I can mention to them what schools they've worked at and what their responsibilities are. So there is a career path if that's chosen, if that's what someone wants to do. So our for pay, so pay rate. So our candidates get paid every day. They get their pay slips on Thursday. Our teaching assistants range from £61.50 plus, and this is just depending on the experience and the responsibilities of that teaching assistant or LSA. Our cover supervisors range from £70 to £121.64 per day, and this is just depending on the experience and the qualifications and if they're further education trained and so forth. And also as well, we are our teachers are qualified teaching status. They will get £138.56 per day. This is because we're on the framework for the National Procurement Services, which means we abide by the government standards in paying qualified teachers a minimum rate of £138. This is brilliant for the teachers as well because it protects them in initially getting paid for the work that they're currently doing. So that's all there. And the registration process with ourselves. So CVs are normally sent across to us. We have a chat with yourself to see if you're suitable or if you're happy to go forward with any of the roles. We would do normally a face-to-face interview, but because of the current circumstances, we're doing them via a WhatsApp video. And this is just for requirements for check of proof of ID, right to work, police check, and any teaching qualifications and references we need to go forward with. This is also the opportunity for me to kind of go through a day of like how a school runs for a teaching assistant, for a cover supervisor, and also for a qualified teacher. We would then get you prepared for the UK classroom. So we can obviously offer you all of the online training. I can talk and support to you in any questions that you have. And then the clearance stage then is once you're finally cleared and eligible to go forward, we would place you into the schools. But myself and Melissa would always be there for yourself. So you've got any questions, it's not like we would place you into the placement and that's it. We're here. I talk to my staff every single day, every single week. If there's any advice or support that I can help you with, you've got my mobile number and you can call me at any time. So that's they're my contact details are there, my mobile number's there and email. If there are any questions that you have, you're more than welcome to individually call me or email me at any time and I can go through the roles with you guys. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Gemma. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to our audience again.
That's okay.
To see if you have any questions.
Okay.
I'm sure it's pretty much the same questions that have already been asked, really. But
yeah,
I'll just see if we've got any different ones. Okay,
yeah,
so our first question. Do you have work for people who don't speak English as their first language, for example, to help children in schools who also don't speak English as their first language? So yes, we've asked this already, but it's good to know what different agencies have available.
Well, different agencies. Yeah, that's perfect because different agencies. So we'll be working with different schools. So there may be some agencies that work with one school and then others that doesn't. So we get quite a few within the Swansea area that will ask for additional learning needs and basically for SOL, I think it is. So it's the same kind of question from Tristan. We do get them coming in. For the colleges that we currently work with, we get quite a lot of the Spanish roles that they're looking for a teaching assistant that can speak Spanish. So we do get them coming in. They're not as much as the additional learning needs or general teaching assistant, but we do get the SOL. We also get them for Welsh medium. So some of the teaching assistants will be first language Welsh medium staff. We do get them coming in, and we do supply them for the teachers and the secondary schools.
Fantastic. And how much will it cost a school to move you from a casual to a permanent employment position? Is that something you can? Sorry, I don't know.
Okay. So if a school wanted to directly take on,
yeah.
Do you mean? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we've got basically our it's like, you wouldn't say like a probational period or anything. If a school, a lot of our schools do take on directly. So say if they had a teaching assistant or a teacher that they really liked, they would have them through Prospero teaching for 12 weeks and just go and making sure that they're happy and, you know, that the candidate is happy as well. And then they go directly with the school with no agency fee.
Right,
so
okay.
they would be, going in for say a short, medium, long-term role for 12 weeks, and there's no agency fee for the schools.
Okay, and do you take individuals with criminal convictions?
So the criminal convictions with the DBS, it is depending on obviously what has been cautioned or what has been convicted. So when we're doing the registration phase, we would talk to the candidate and we would have a look at what they've got. We can't discriminate initially depending on what obviously the conviction or caution is. But it does come down to the school's discretion. So every time we send a pupil out, it's for safeguarding purposes. All of our candidates will have to have their DBS carried on them when they're going into the schools. Prior to this, we send out a safeguarding form to our clients, and this will mention, you know, if they've got Educational Workforce Council, if they've completed the safeguarding, the right to work within the UK, and if there's anything on their DBS. So if there is anything on the DBS, it's the discretion of the school, so they can say yay or nay. But there is something, we can work with that. It just depends on what the conviction or the caution be and how long it's been.
Okay, fantastic. Can your salary increase if you improve your qualifications as you go along? So if you started off as a TA, basic qualifications, and then you gained more and more
As a career.
because you become a cover supervisor and then go on to a teaching role further down the line.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of our teaching assistants will start off as TA, and they'll kind of get the background of obviously being in a classroom with the teachers. The more experience that they get, and the more schools that they go to as well, they'll build a relationship with those schools, and with the pupils as well. So naturally a classroom management and lesson delivery will come natural to them, so they can move up to being a cover supervisor. If they're then wanting to obviously do another qualification to go into teaching, as I'd mentioned, we can offer the references for the university, but you can go from a teaching assistant to cover supervisor, and then cover supervisor to also teacher or qualified teaching status if that's what they wanted.
Okay, lovely. 1 second, see if we have any more. Okay, so I saw on, I think it was one of your first slides, that you have offices in Canada and other places in the world. I'm not sure if I'm right there. But do you recruit for jobs overseas, teaching jobs overseas?
Yes, we do. So a lot of our teachers, so international students from other countries, we bring them into the UK and we can get them sponsorship. Initially, it's a lot within the England area and London. We've got a team that focuses just on international teachers. And then we've got offices then also within Canada, Australia and New Zealand. And they bring Australian teachers over to teach within the UK, and they would do the same then if we had a UK teacher that wanted to go over to Australia. We would help with the process and doing the international recruitment from there.
Oh, right.
So they can offer a lot of advice if that's something that was, if they wanted to do that.
Okay, and would you need any different qualifications to teach in a different country then? Or would our qualifications stand in those places?
So it would be your qualified teaching status for a teacher that's got QTS. It may be completely different within a different country, because I do know that if you've got international teachers that are coming over to the UK, they will need to apply for the QTS or do like an induction. But if that is something, we've got a separate induction for international teams that can speak to any of our candidates. Because I don't really work on the international team, I don't know as much as what they would be able to do, but I can definitely get the advice and support for that candidate if that's what they were looking at.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. And what support do you give for the NQT year?
For newly qualified teachers, is this for their induction for the Educational Workforce Council? Is that, yeah?
I'm not sure, it just says what support you give for the NQT year.
I think it might be, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so on newly qualified teachers, they have to complete induction. So we've had quite a few this year that have done their newly qualified teaching and they need to sign off for their induction. A few of our clients have actually, you know, they go in to do their supply work for the day for general cover or for long term. And a lot of our clients can actually sign it off for them that at the schools. We can also, like Tristan had mentioned previously before, we can actually, if they've done like a full year or how many hours and so forth, we can get the record up for them and we can give that to them so they can give it to the EWC. So yeah, we do support the NQT.
Brilliant. And can you turn down work in a certain school if you didn't like working there previously, or if you feel it's too far to travel?
Yeah, of course. So what myself and Mel do is, within our interview process, we also ask, you know, is there any schools that you want to work in? Is there any schools that you don't want to work in? And these can obviously be for personal reasons and for what the candidate is saying, but we wouldn't place them somewhere that they didn't want to be. If they went into, say, a school as a teaching assistant teacher or so forth to work, and it was a long-term or short said that they didn't like it, we wouldn't send them there back because we want our staff to be comfortable in the schools that they're working in. They have enough added stress of, you know, supporting and helping and PPA and planning. We wouldn't want them to be somewhere that they're not comfortable or enjoying. Okay. So that shouldn't be a problem. We just place them somewhere else.
So if you said to somebody, for example, you've got a week's work in this school, they went there for the first couple of days, didn't enjoy it, would they have to return for the full week then to see it through, or would you just get somebody to replace them for the rest of the week?
I mean, we would get someone to probably replace them because we don't want a teaching assistant or say a teacher in a school where they don't want to be. It's just going to cause more uncomfortableness for them. Yeah. So we would just, you know, we would speak with the school and we would just say, we've got another teaching assistant backup, and we would then place the teaching assistant that didn't want to be there. We place them into a different school then. Okay. So yeah, so it's completely, it's discretion at the candidate and the discretion at the school. It's completely up to them.
Great, thank you. And I don't know if you've already said about this, sorry, but mileage, do you pay any mileage?
So for our candidates, when we're doing a registration process with them or the interview notes, we ask them how far they're willing to travel. If it's within that time frame, then it shouldn't, you know, it's completely up to them if it's 30 minutes by public transport or 30 minutes by driving or walking. If they're going further than expected, then yes, myself and Melissa will add a little bit extra on. But we normally try to keep our staff closest to the schools. So they're just on the doorstep and, you know, they're not that far away from the school and that they don't have to travel too far. And it's also brilliant for the schools as well, because the closer that the staff are, the more that they'll say, can we have this person back? Because they know that they take a shorter period of time.
Excellent. Okay. And do you get enough placements for all of your candidates?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're currently, myself and Mel are running out of staff at the moment. We've got quite a lot of roles that are coming in. So we do day-to-day cover as emergency cover, which is one of our biggest kind of movements. And then we also get the long terms and the short terms, because we work with primary, secondary and colleges. We place them pretty much as soon as they've kind of registered and are, well, 100% as soon as they're compliant with ourselves and they're happy with the schools that they go with. Around our candidates' availability as well, because we do understand that they might not be able to work a full 5 days or a full 3 days. What myself and Mel do is we ask our staff to text us on a Friday and let us know for their availability for the following week. And the days that they're free is the days that we would try and get them booked out for work, either pre-bookings or emergency cover in the morning. So we're pretty flexible and work around the candidates' availability.
Sorry, I was on mute then. With regard to COVID-19 and PPE, who does provide that? Would it be the person, the teacher, or would it be the school or yourselves?
Yeah, so we send out, we've got lanyards and ID badges that we send out to the schools, as well as the face masks. Initially, this day of age, everyone would have a face mask anyway. We ask them to wear them within the school premises as well. It's at the school's discretion if they can take them off within the classroom. But yeah, we do send our face masks across to the schools, but if they've got their own, that would be brilliant as well.
Okay, lovely. Just want to see if we've got any more.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any work experience opportunities available?
Voluntary experience?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, sorry.
yeah, okay. So we don't generally offer voluntary experience because initially we want all our staff have to be paid, and the DBS that they get is going to be for paid work. So you have two DBSs. You either have DBS, which is voluntary, and then you can get a DBS, which is paid work. Like Tristan had mentioned, that they can offer the DBS, we can offer the DBS as well. The cost is £45.80, and with the Educational Workforce Council too. So we can offer 3-day trials. So we can say to a school, you know, we've got a candidate that's perfect, that's looking to get into the education sector, that's wanting to be a teaching assistant. You know, we can offer a 3 days trial, and then hopefully go in from there that they can have a paid work from the next day over. But myself and Mel don't really generally kind of do the 3-day trials, because obviously we like our staff to be paid.
Okay, great. Do we have any other questions, please? The age, what age do you accept? Is it 18 plus?
Yeah, so 18 plus, we can, depending on all of the experience or just the qualifications, but age wise would be, yeah, from 18 plus. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it then. And how would you say that you differ from any other company? Is there something that makes Prospero kind of stand out above any others, or makes you unique to others?
To the other, yeah. So yeah, I would say there's quite a lot of what we're unique to the other agencies. I mean, we offer support, but I'm guessing all of the other agencies are going to as well. Prospero is a teaching agency and company who've been around for 20 years, and they've got massive experience. They abide by all of the government standards, and we work closely with the education department. And yeah, it's just initially, it's just the discretion of the candidate clients that we work with. I would never tell a candidate not to sign up with another agency, because that would kind of stop them from getting as much work as they can. We say to all our candidates, you know, if there's another agency that you want to apply for, go for it, because there may be some schools that we're working with and there may not be some other schools that they're working with.
Okay, that's great. So they don't really have to think about which one to choose, just go with as many as possible, really, and then see which ones you get work with, really, and you know which support you best. So
yeah, definitely, because I mean, our main role as a recruitment agency is to get staff out into the education sector and to get them work as well, because at this current circumstances and from previously before, you know, wanting to work within the education sector is great, but it's also great to get that person back into work and somewhere where they'd like to be. So our main interest is getting the person work and then placing them somewhere where they're, you know, where they're happy.
Fantastic. Okay, then I think that's it. Is there anything else anybody else would like to add? Ask? No? Okay, well, if we do have any more questions, Gemma, I will pass them on to you. But thank you so much for joining us today, for taking the time out of your day. I know you're super busy. It's been very, very informative.
That's okay.
I've really enjoyed it actually. It's been very useful, and I'm sure our mentors will find
It's been nice.
this very useful. So we've got lots of lovely feedback.
Yeah.
Thank you. 2 excellent
Yeah,
presentations.
I wanted
Thank you.
That's okay. I wanted to just mention with the mentors, I've worked with projects with previously before with the mentors. If they have candidates, because obviously they wait normally for the events to come forward, but if they've got candidates that might have come through from any of the areas, they're more than welcome to send their CV across to my email address or pop me a call, and I'll give the candidate a call straight away or within the 24 hours of them sending the CV, and just have a chat with them and just talk to them. So I speak to quite a lot of the other mentors from previous places. So yeah, more than welcome to send me anything across or call me at any time.
Thank you very much. Sorry, one more thing I've thought about. I know I mentioned volunteering opportunities or work experience placements, and you said you'd offer, you know, a one-day trial. But what about for younger candidates then who don't have any work experience, need a bit more experience within a school to find out if that is actually the career that they want to go into? Would you be able to help set something up for them with the job centre, for example?
Yeah, I mean, if they with the job, yeah, I mean, if our candidates were looking to kind of get into the education sector and they, like you said, they had no experience, as long as they're DBS and EWC and they're compliant, I've got no problem in ringing our clients and saying to them, look, I've got a candidate that wants to kind of do teaching assistant work and kind of wants to do some days to see if it is for them and see if I can definitely do that. I've got no problem in ringing the clients and speaking to them about that. And also working with the job centre alone and assigned with them and try and build something, because that would be quite a good event. Because I do know that we used to do events of university events of graduates that are coming out, or we would go for colleges or go to any of those places. And kind of say, like, you know, you can join Prospero Teaching. This is a career aspect if you want to try it. So I wouldn't see that being I think it'd be a really good idea.
Yeah, and with our organisations as well, we do have funding to help with any barriers that people face. So it may be helping to fund things like a DBS. I'm not sure 100% if we are able to, but you know, that's something that we could definitely look at. I don't know if the job centre know whether that's something that would be anybody can answer that, but yeah, so definitely something we can help with. I know obviously the qualification side we can help previously
with. I do know projects that I've worked alongside have been able, especially with the government funding, that they've been able to pay for DBS and an EWC. I do know that I've had candidates that have been working in one of our colleges, and you know they've had courses as well.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. Once again, good feedback, really good presentations. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you once again, and Emma Walsh, our employer liaison officer, and myself will keep in touch with you definitely. And we don't pay for DBS, but it's something we can look into.
Thank you.
That's from Pamela from the job centre. Thank you, Pamela.
Thanks, Pam.
Sorry, everybody, I just realised I was on mute again. So I've now popped the feedback survey in the chat box. So if you wouldn't mind completing that, just so that we can look at ways to improve our events going forward. And I'd like to thank you all again for listening to today's event.
Holly, sorry to put in there.
Yeah.
The Apollo, what we're looking for doc doesn't open for me. Does anybody else having that problem? When I double click on it, it just says I don't have access to the file.
Oh, okay. I can send it to you. Yeah, if you pop your email address in the chat box now, and I will make sure to, if you want me to send it over to you, just pop your email in the chat box and I will email you after the event now.
Well done, Holly, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for attending.